Um, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the Sports Core. I'm joined here by Steeves of Hartford Athletics. So, thank you for coming on.
Good to be here. Glad to be on.
Yeah. You grew up in Massachusetts. You played for the, FC Bolts, the Boston Bolts, kind of. So, what's your youth career really like?
Obviously, growing up in Boston, playing for the Bolts was a good experience, and then ultimately that helped me get to Providence College, where I went to college and got my education. I played 4 years there, got injured my senior year, and luckily I was awarded a fifth year to play as a super senior, as a redshirt senior. So, and then from there, obviously, got a chance to play at the next level. So, I think it's been a bumpy ride a little bit for me regarding injuries, but it's been good otherwise. And luckily, I'm past those injuries and still playing.
Yeah, and mentally, you mentioned all these injuries. Like, how do you stay kind of motivated and, on task while having these injuries?
Well, like you say, motivation is probably the biggest piece. Obviously, physically, you feel hurt and stuff like that when you get injured, but I think the most important part is being mentally in tune and staying positive. I think people and athletes get injured and they get down on themselves. They get unmotivated, like you said, obviously. But I think the most important thing is to stay on track, stay positive, and keep going, because a lot of the time there is a light at the end of the tunnel where you can get past those injuries. And luckily, knock on wood, hopefully I'm past those.
Yeah, and your college career was pretty successful. Providence is like a huge, Big East powerhouse pretty much. So, your freshman year, you had, fourth in the team in points. What was that transition like from club to college?
It was definitely a culture shock, I would say, in terms of the speed of play. I think the speed of play is probably the biggest difference. Like when you jump from level to level, obviously, I was coming out of high school as an 18-year-old, and in college, you can go up against guys that are 23, 24 years old as seniors, so it's a big difference when you go up against someone who's 5 or 6 years older than you. But in the long run, I think it definitely helps. So I think the biggest thing was probably not physically, just because like I'm a big guy, but I'd say speed of play, and then obviously just experience, like having 5 or 6 years of experience, like looking back, me as a senior going up against guys that are 17, 18, 19 years old, like it is a big difference in terms of experience. So I'd say that was the biggest difference going from club to college.
Yeah, and college soccer is like, really, it's kind of, it's 3 months span and you're playing a whole season. But a lot of people don't really understand, like, the physicality aspect. What's the biggest misconception about college soccer?
I think in the United States, obviously, there's a lot of people that think that the college level isn't the best level. And I think I can agree and disagree with it. I think that there are some really, really talented players that come out, like Stanford, who produce guys like obviously Jordan Morris and Corey Baird, who are still in the MLS. You got Providence, produced Julian Gressel, who's been one of the best midfielders in the MLS the last 3 years. And then obviously guys from Indiana, UCLA, and like all those powerhouses. So I do think that there is a lot of talent in college soccer. So I think that's very high.
You could include yourself in that list because, you were like, kind of, I'd say insane in college. All these awards you're getting and everything. Before the injury, the Mac Harmon watch list. So, like, what do all those awards really mean to you?
What was that last question?
What do all the awards, like individual awards, mean to you?
I think it's, although I received the awards, I think it's credit to my teammates. Obviously, like being a striker, yeah, we get the awards and we score the goals and stuff like that. But I think it's a big credit to guys, like I said, like Julian Gressel, who's whipping in the service, or he's the one that's passing me the ball and putting me into the right spot where I can actually get in front of the net. So obviously I think it's a big big credit to my teammates. Obviously, I'm happy to receive the awards, but at the end of the day, like, I couldn't do it without any of my teammates at any level, whether it's high school, college, professional. Like, the reality is soccer is a game with 11 guys on the field, so it doesn't just take one, it takes all 11. So.
Mm-hmm. And so, I mean, after the college career kind of comes to an end, bumps, ups and downs, but it definitely worked out because 43rd overall pick in the 2018 MLS Super Draft. I mean, like, how are you feeling kind of after being drafted by the Houston Dynamo?
Honestly, just pure excitement. I didn't really expect to get drafted, obviously. Had a little bit of a down year my redshirt senior year. I had 8 goals, I believe it was. And then I was sitting at home with my mom just watching the draft. Next thing I know, like, my name comes up on the board. I don't know, just pure excitement. And then obviously getting into Houston and being around guys like Marcus Beasley, who's played in so many World Cups. He's played at big clubs around the world. Guys like Philip Senderos, he's played in World Cups, played for Arsenal, Aston Villa. So, I mean, just being around those guys and in that environment every day was incredible. Obviously, you learn so much as a rookie playing with veteran guys like that. It was a blessing. And I didn't take any day for granted. Although I got injured, like, didn't take any day for granted when I was there.
And, I mean, it's really crazy because, like, the MLS Super Draft, a lot of guys don't really sign for the clubs, they get drafted to, even guys in the first round. And then you sign for Houston and eventually get loaned out to Rio Grande Valley in the USL. And, you pick up that injury. Again, the mental side of the game, like, what were you thinking as you got injured?
Well, that was a much more serious injury than the one that I endured in college. Obviously, in college, I had just sports hernia surgery, so those are quick recoveries where it's like a 30 to 45-minute surgery, maybe an hour at tops, where I'm in the operating room, and then I get to walk out the day of surgery and then kind of rehab for a month or two, and then I'm back on the field. But the injuries in Houston that I went through were a lot more serious. Obviously, I was on non-weight-bearing crutches for 2 months, so I had to learn how to walk again after that. And then, obviously, even after that, after, like, learning how to walk, then next it's, okay, learning how to run, and then it's learning how to kick a ball again and stuff like that. So those injuries were a lot more serious. So, like, in my head, I just had to take it one step at a time, because if I got ahead of myself where it was, okay, day out of surgery, I wasn't thinking about getting back out there on the field. I was kind of just thinking, all right, I got to learn these things. I got to take small steps, got to take baby steps, and just stay optimistic, like I said earlier, and stay positive, because at the end of the day, I knew it was going to be an 8 to 9 month recovery before I could even be out on the field again with my teammates. So it was just taking it day by day.
Yeah, and I mean, on top of that, you got released by Houston at the end of the season. So, I mean, like, what were you thinking as you get released now? Because, all of this is happening, and then on top of that, the release.
Obviously, no hard feelings with Houston. I mean, you get injured like that, and teams got to make a decision. It's a business at the end of the day where they got to make a decision. But luckily, I have an agent, and he was helping me out, and luckily, I had good connections with some coaches and people that were willing to give letters of recommendation and stuff like that to teams and make phone calls for me and stuff like that. So luckily, I had a good group of people behind me and behind the scenes helping me out. So luckily, I got an opportunity to come here to Hartford, and it's worked out for the last 2 years. So
yeah.
Definitely excited. I look at the bright side of it. I'm in a great place in Hartford with a great fan base and stuff like that. So I'm definitely happy where I am right now, for sure.
And you're really close to home, too, because, a Massachusetts native and playing for Hartford, Connecticut, that's, kind of the dream, to play in front of your home crowd. So, you got signed with Hartford. I mean, like, how was last season with, Hartford Athletic and kind of that season coming back from injury?
It was a tough season, obviously, being the inaugural year for Hartford. It was definitely tough. New set of guys, it's new coach, stuff like that. So it's tough kind of getting your footing, but And I think for me also it was tough being my first year back from injury. It was tough managing my body and trying to get my body into the right shape and into the right form where I needed to be. So I think fast forward a year in advance to this year, I think that I've done a much better job, and I think I learned a lot about my body in the last year, probably last year, where now I'm completely on a vegetarian diet, so that's definitely helped with recovery practices, recovery after games. My muscles feeling more fresh. I don't feel as tired. I get full 8 hours of sleep at least every single night, so I think I have a lot more energy. So I think in terms of last year, I think I had a lot more time this year in the off season really to get my body into the right place physically, and then obviously in terms of the mental side of it as well. I think I had 3 months in the off season to kind of clear my head and get ready for this year and get my mindset in the right place too.
And I mean, you kind of gained another 3 months recently with the whole quarantine, kind of a different type of 3 months. So how did you and your team, in Hartford Athletic, kind of stay fit throughout the quarantine?
I think obviously during this quarantine, I think it was important for us as a team to, rather than just take it as 3 months time off, we can go and do whatever we want. Like I think we really buckled down and we worked out probably 6 times a week out of the 7 days and had 1 day off. We watched a lot of film. We went on a lot of runs. Individually, we went out onto the field and got touches. Obviously, I'm lucky. We have a backyard here at my house where we're living right now, so we were able to go outside and kick the ball around a little bit and stuff like that. But I think, honestly, this quarantine, I think it had a lot to do with like mindset, whether or not we were gonna kind of phone it in or were we gonna get something out of it. I think luckily we have a good team, good coach, good group of guys that are definitely motivated to really stay fit, stay in tune, and stay back during this tough time.
And I mean, kind of the whole, premise of this interview is you going through obstacles and really knocking them out of the park, for kids and like any player really that's, in a tough time right now, injuries, anything, given this quarantine. What's your biggest advice for them?
I'd say just keep going, honestly. You gotta take every day as a blessing, and you gotta work as hard as you can. Obviously, never give up games. I think there were times during my injuries and my obstacles where I was down on myself or a little upset that I wasn't playing and stuff like that. But you can't be negative during times like that. So I think just staying positive, taking every day as a blessing, and use every day to get better if you can. So whether you're 1 day out of surgery, whether you're coming off of a loss, whether you're coming off of getting dropped from a team, I think you just gotta keep the right mindset, stay positive, and keep going, because there is a light at the end of the tunnel, and you can achieve whatever you want if you put your mind to it.
Yeah, and I mean, so kind of to wrap everything up here, I have a few rapid fire questions for you, so let's get right into this. Who's your favorite band or artist?
Post Malone.
Who's your biggest role model?
Biggest role model? My grandpa.
Yeah. If you could sit down and eat dinner with 3 people, who would they be?
Ron James, Tom Brady, and Adam Sandler.
Messi or Ronaldo?
That's a tough one. I'll go with Ronaldo.
Okay. If you could be a member of any TV family sitcom, what would it be?
Friends.
What's the favorite stadium you've played in?
Favorite stadium? Ooh, that's a tough one. Favorite stadium? That's really tough. I liked playing at Lucas Oil Stadium in Indiana.
Yeah. What's one thing most people don't know about you?
Something most people don't know about me. That's a tough one. Even though I like playing soccer, obviously I love all other sports. I like football, I like basketball, I like baseball. I'd probably say like I'm a sports savant in a way. I like watching all sports.
Yeah. What's your favorite movie?
Favorite movie? Lone Survivor.
And if you could go back in time, where would you go?
If I could go back in time, where would I go? I'd probably go back to draft day when I got drafted by Houston.
And so, I mean, that's about it for the rapid fire questions. And I mean, I'm assuming you're a Boston sports fan, so because Massachusetts and everything. So you guys have some pretty good teams going right now. I mean, Celtics, Bruins, Patriots. Now Tom's gone, but I mean, some serious talent up there.
Yeah, it's definitely devastating to see Tom leave, but I think credit, he's given us so much over the last 20 years or whatever it's been. So, but then obviously Red Sox, Bruins, and Celtics. Like Boston's a great place to live in sports.
Yeah.
So.
And next thing you know, I mean, Bill Belichick might make Jared Stidham the next Tom Brady for all I know. So.
Never know. Never know.
So this is really it for the interview, everybody. This is Max Steeves, and I'm Chris Dailey, and signing off. See you guys all later.